Hi everyone, welcome back to Jay Kerner for Astrology. We're tuning in for the new moon in Sagittarius 2024, happening on Saturday, November 30th or December 1st, 2024, depending on where in the world you're tuning in from. This is just days after the Thanksgiving holiday here in the United States of America. If you're on the Pacific Coast, this is happening at 10:21 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on November 30th, 2024. If you're in Eastern Standard Time like myself, it's happening at 1:21 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on December 1st, 2024, and it's happening at the break of dawn, 6:21 a.m. UK time, December 1st, 2024. The Sagittarius New Moon 2024 exacts 9 degrees 32 arc minutes of Sagittarius on top of fixed star Antares. More on that in a bit. Before we dive into the nitty-gritty of the Sagittarius New Moon, I'd like to remind you to please hit that like button. Subscribe if you don't already subscribe. Help us on our journey to the next big milestone of 1,000 subscribers. And be sure to hit that notification bell so that you can always be the first to know what the cosmos has in store for you. Let's begin by recapping the astrologies of the week preceding the Sagittarius New Moon. So at the time of recording this video, today, November 21st, 2024, the sun ingressed into Sagittarius, kickstarting Sagittarius season and putting the spotlight of energy onto optimistic, gregarious Sagittarius. The sun ingressed into Sagittarius. It is no coincidence that this happened on Thursday, the day of the week associated with Sagittarius and Jupiter. Thursday from Thor's day, with Thor being Jupiter, or Zeus. On November 24th, we had an exact grand fire trine. The sun in the early degrees of Sagittarius formed a trine to the north node of Fate and Destiny in the early degrees of Aries, while trining Mars in the early degrees of Leo. This can bring protests, strikes, and revolts, karma and destruction through wildfire. Pluto in Aquarius also heightens these themes, as Pluto was last in Aquarius from 1777 to 1798, during the last Industrial Revolution, the American Revolution, and the French Revolution, when we became frustrated with taxation without proper representation, and power was taken back into the hands of the people and out of the hands of the oligarchs, more equally distributed to the people. This grand fire trine amplifies themes of freedom in the coming months. There will be power grabs and infringements upon individual human rights that force us to own our inner authority and power. Pluto is in the process, with the help of its opposition to Mars, in destroying capitalism by highlighting the pitfalls of instant gratification, materialism, corruption at the hands of celebrities, leaders, influencers, and anyone in the top 2%. Example, many stores are starting to go cashless and not accepting certain forms of cash, like the American dollar bill. This is unconstitutional, and you are well within your power to take your business elsewhere. I have been boycotting Walmart due to their shitty business practices since I was 13. I will not invest any money at Walmart, among many other companies. Similarly, I canceled my gym membership at Edge Fitness. This was for several reasons, but mostly because of their shitty business model. 12-month contracts are insane. I'd rather pay a day fee. They went cashless, which is unconstitutional. You are well within your power to choose who you do business with and to invest your money accordingly. The signs of Sagittarius and Aquarius have a lot of similarities and parallels. The two signs are in a harmonic sextile, a 60-degree angle position, meaning that they work very well together. And elementally, air fuels fire. Both signs have connections to idealism, the future, truth and justice, freedom, and both signs are focused on how we're universally similar rather than how we're different or individual. Sagittarius, where we have the sun spotlighting energy for the collective, is the sign of law and justice, truth-seeking, adventure, expansion, constant growth, hope, idealism, optimism, looking for silver linings in every cloud, and looking for the seed of opportunity within every setback. I have heavy Sagittarius energy, and you can likely see it. I have my Black Moon Lilith, 9 degrees Sagittarius, directly opposite my moon conjunct Mars in Gemini, with my Mars in the 9th house, which is very similar to having one's Mars in Sagittarius. It's a big, inspirational, teaching, life of the party placement. Sagittarius placements often pair with Virgo placements. I know several Sagittarius suns, including one of my favorite bosses, who has his sun in Sagittarius and moon in Virgo. Shout out to you, Roger, if you're tuning in and watching. I miss you. My current boss, a young Sagittarius sun, with what I presume to be his Mars in Virgo. We'll see if he ever lets me read his chart. He uses his hands, and so do I, on a daily basis, healing others. a very Mars in Virgo thing. We do this for a company called Stretch Zone, where we engage in what's called practitioner-assisted stretching and help people with their mobility and other goals. The awesome young man, whose birthday is in 2 days, who trained me for this position, also has his sun in Sagittarius and his moon in Virgo. My current partner has his moon in Sagittarius and his sun in Virgo. Do you see how they often pair well together? One of my favorite performers, Nico Moon, has his sun in Virgo and his Mars in Sagittarius. I'll have to plug a clip either without sound or keep it below 10 seconds due to copyright law, but you wouldn't believe the way he took an exhausted, highly hungover, very overheated Sunday morning crowd, the beginning of June, in the heat of June at CMA Fest in Nashville, Tennessee, and completely gave them life. Inspirational, uplifting, life of the party energy, indeed. So navigate to 9 degrees 32 arc minutes of Sagittarius within your natal chart to find where this is happening for you. You'll want to look at any placements directly conjunct and also look into the house it falls into. This is showing where a new beginning is happening for you, with the house indicating the life area where it will manifest. For me, this new moon is happening directly on top of my Black Moon Lilith 9 degrees Sagittarius, with Black Moon Lilith representing our patterns of self-disempowerment. When I was younger, less evolved, I had Peter Pan syndrome and a tendency to run away from conflict. I'm also a Libra stellium. I would literally change jobs or move out of state to avoid problems or conflicts. Also as a Libra, which this could be a Libra thing, and a Gemini moon and Mars, Gemini thing, life has always, I've been fortunate to be presented with multiple options. So I've always had that out. Things got difficult at one job, well, there were always 4 other jobs that were interested in taking me that I could divert my energy to. But the issue with that is, until I got older, I didn't have the staying power to assert myself and really see conflict through to a resolution and grow from it. I've lived in 3 different states at this point, and I'm only 34 years old. When we were younger, we moved 14 times. Mostly my dad, with my parents being divorced. So one parent was always stable in the school district where I grew up, and I always had a foot in a neighboring school district. But my father had a lot of turbulence going on, so we ended up relocating several times. This Sagittarius tendency to, it's a mutable fire sign, run away, is a pattern I see in Generation Z. And Generation Z all have their Pluto in Sagittarius, with Pluto intensifying that Sagittarius energy within each and every one of them. This new moon happening in my 3rd house, affecting my communication habits and style, my writing, and my relationships with my siblings. All 3rd house themes. What's also interesting to note before we dive too much deeper is that the new moon, this Sagittarius new moon, conjoins the ascendant or rising sign, 12 degrees Sagittarius, for the birth of the United States of America, when the Declaration of Independence was signed on July 4th, 1776, 5:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here in my hometown of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Is it any wonder we are seeing so many infringements upon our indelible rights, and that this country is completely divided as to who is culpable for taking away those constitutional rights? Is it a coincidence that we have a debilitated Mercury retrograde in mutual reception with a debilitated Jupiter in Gemini, with the latter, Jupiter in Gemini, the ruling planet, influencing the spotlight of energy, the sun in Sagittarius? The division and polarity is being amplified so that this bipartisan system that has failed us for several decades can crumble under the corruption of the Pluto and Capricorn 2008 to 2024 era. And from its rubble, the millennials and Generation Z can rebuild a more equitable tomorrow in the dawn of the age of Aquarius. Millennials, especially those born from 1988 to 1994, with a strong concentration of Capricorn energy, especially those like myself with a triple conjunction between Uranus, Neptune, and Saturn in Capricorn, born between 1988 and 1991, have long been aware of the pitfalls of Shadow Capricorn and are here to lead the path and establish creative, unorthodox, out-of-the-box business models that break us free from feeling enslaved to the 9-to-5 traditional work model at what have now become obviously corrupt corporations. Saturn and Neptune co-present in Pisces and heading into a triple, nay quadruple conjunction involving an exalted Venus in Pisces and the North Node of Fate and Destiny in Pisces at the critical final degrees of Pisces, nevertheless. In February 2025, will bring a collective crisis of faith as Neptune seeks to dissolve the collective disillusionment we've fallen victim to at the hands of corrupt leaders who control and censor information and the media. I'd like to share some song lyrics, Waiting on the World to Change by John Mayer. Me and all my friends, we're all misunderstood. They say we stand for nothing, and there's no way we ever could. Now we see everything that's going wrong with the world and those who lead it. We just feel like we don't have the means to rise above and beat it. So we keep waiting on the world to change. We keep on waiting on the world to change. It's hard to beat the system when we're standing at a distance, so we keep waiting on the world to change. Now, if we had the power to bring our neighbors home from war, they would have never missed a Christmas, no more ribbons on their door. And when you trust your television, what you get is what you got? Because when they own the information, they can bend it all they want. It's wild to think that John Mayer released this song way back in 2006 as the first single to his studio album, Continuum. According to geniuslyrics.com, Waiting on the World to Change centers John and his generation's inaction in regard to current world conditions, as the youth felt powerless in this situation. They felt as though they didn't have the means to fight because they are young and, to some degree, ignorant, powerless, or scared. He also lamented the corruption among leaders. John confirmed this feeling of discontentment between the leaders during an interview with The Advocate, as he explained. Well, the song is saying, I'll just watch American Idol because I know that if I were engaged in changing anything for the better, or for the better as I see it, it would go unnoticed and be completely ineffective anyway. A lot of people have this feeling. What's interesting is that a lot of people in John's generation in 2006, which he's part of the Generation X generation, my generation that followed, the millennials, Pluto and Sagittarius, Generation Z, and even Generation Alpha, Pluto and Capricorn. Many of us felt this way heading into the last several elections. John Mayer is part of the Pluto and Libra Generation X, with his natal Pluto conjunct a large concentration of planets in Libra, making him, like myself, hella Libra. Mayer is a 2-degree Libra ascendant, meaning that his entire first house is in the sign of Libra, making it incredibly visible to his personality from a first impression, as the ascendant or rising sign shows the mask we wear, or our persona, the mask we present to society. He has his Pluto in the heart of Libra, 14 degrees Libra, exactly conjunct his north node of fate and destiny, which is also 14 degrees Libra. Which, as an aside, 14 degrees Libra is precisely where my sun is, my natal sun placement, in October 8th, Libra, part of my stellium of Libra placements. It's no wonder John Mayer was my favorite artist when I was growing up and in high school, when I too felt completely powerless to the circumstances around me. He was the first concert I attended at age 16. Dana, if you're out there watching this, thank you for driving me all the way to Hershey Park, Pennsylvania, to see this concert, knowing that my mother would not support my love of music and instead sought to suppress those creative gifts. My Jupiter conjunct South Node of Karmic Fate and Destiny, and Pallas Athena, all in Leo. In fact, this is a Libra theme and pattern, suppression at the hands of narcissistic abuse, that ultimately forces one to face and come into their own inner authority and power. Generation X, just like the millennial generation, has at least one parent with narcissistic tendencies, who suppress their individuality and power. The difference is that Generation X has their Pluto in Libra, amplifying the shadow traits of Libra, that we're also seeing as the South Node is currently transiting Libra. These patterns include conflict avoidance, people-pleasing, and codependency. It can also include putting far too much stock or power into the opinions of other people and altering your energy to fit that. Generation X was okay simply doing whatever their parents told them to do, or what their parents had done before them, while the millennials, who have their Pluto in Scorpio, were the first generation to truly need work that aligned with soul purpose and higher meaning. The shift from Libra to Scorpio is an obvious one. It's when Libra is tired of just taking it, and it learns to tap into the power and influence of Mars and has a little bite back. John Mayer has his Pluto North Node conjunction also conjunct his natal Mercury 21 degrees Libra, and his natal Sun at master number, evil degree, KILL or BKILLED degree, 22 degrees Libra. Mercury in Libra can bring beauty and harmony to the voice. This close conjunction to the Sun creates a combust Mercury. This means that the energy of the Sun combines with the energy of Mercury, and is similar to having one's Mercury in Leo, a great placement for the spotlight or for a dogmatic leader. A combust Mercury, especially within a 1 degree orb, a very tight conjunction to the Sun, essentially means that the Sun is burning the energy of the other planet. In this case, Mercury, the planet of logical awareness and communication. The shadow traits of a combust Mercury Sun tightly conjunct Mercury can be very similar to the shadow traits of Mercury in Leo. My way or the highway arrogance, egotism, self-centeredness, selfishness, and a tendency toward narcissism. It's highly possible that John Mayer had a narc parent himself, and he became his ABUSE, which is exactly how this demonic, lower vibrational energy spreads when we remain unconscious and fail to do the inner work and heal. Remember that astrology is merely a blueprint. It is not a life sentence. Each of you watching or listening has free will. It shows our potential, which we directly impact through our awareness and through our actions. Now, before I spend another 10 minutes deep diving into the astrology of John Mayer, I'd like to mention that his energies may come up under this Sagittarius new moon. Perhaps this song, Waiting on the World to Change, will resurface under the energies of today. John has his natal moon conjunct his Neptune right on top of this new moon in Sagittarius, with his natal moon exactly 10 degrees Sagittarius and Neptune 14 degrees Sagittarius. Additionally, John has his natal Mars in the late degrees 25 degrees of Cancer, which will be activated not only by a Mars return, but the upcoming Mars retrogradation through the late degrees of Cancer and early degrees of Leo. Let's see if my predictions are right. On November 25th, Mercury entered retrograde. A debilitated Mercury began its retrograde in mutual reception with a debilitated Jupiter in Gemini, bringing up themes of censorship, freedom of speech, and freedom of movement. Lots of issues with travel and aviation, amplified by Pluto in Aquarius and Uranus in Taurus, which is bringing extreme weather. Now I'd like to bring up the chart of the new moon for the deep dive. As with any new moon, we have the sun conjunct the moon, aligned this time 9 degrees 32 arc minutes of Sagittarius, highlighting a new beginning in Sagittarius themes: pursuit of growth and expansion, thirst for freedom and adventure, truth and justice, living authentically and questioning the existing beliefs and thought patterns that create our outer reality, amplified by Mercury Retrograde in mutual reception with Jupiter in Gemini, with both planets in their signs of debilitation or weakened expression, and at opposition. More on that in a bit. Taking a subject to mastery. Sagittarius is the sister sign or perfect opposite to Gemini, the latter of which is about information gathering and dissemination, whether it is through writing, teaching, marketing, journalism, or other forms of communication, while Sagittarius is about taking a subject of interest to mastery, such as through college or university level education, focusing on big picture and universal similarities, and teaching. In learning, we will teach, and in teaching, we will learn. As a former teacher who has her bachelor's degree from the Pennsylvania State University in elementary education with a concentration in the psychology of learning, the biggest step to mastering anything you are learning is to in turn teach that skill or information to others. It's the best test to mastery. This lunation will be felt most strongly by those of us who, like John Mayer, have personal planets or important angles, the ascendant, the IC, the descendant, or the midheaven, in the mutable signs, especially plus or minus 9 degrees of the mutable signs: Sagittarius, Pisces, Gemini, and Virgo. The individuals who are most impacted by the Sagittarius new moon 2024 are more likely to experience relevant changes and new beginnings in their lives and to come across tangible or realistic opportunities for personal and spiritual expansion. No matter where you have Sagittarius in your chart, you will be invited to deepen your connection with yourself, with your inner truth, and to explore belief systems that foster growth and empowerment. This lunation, the new moon in Sagittarius, begins the month of December with setting intentions focused on our connection with our personal inner truth, as well as our dedication to expansion, growth, and healing, as we lead an authentic, fulfilling, and meaningful life, and in turn, inspire others to do the same. We have a concentration of energy in Sagittarius, with Mercury retrograde, 20 degrees, 20 arc minutes, Sagittarius, under this new moon. This is especially interesting considering that if we rewind to last year's Sagittarius new moon, 20 degrees Sagittarius, where Mercury is under this Sagittarius new moon, this is exactly where we had the 2023 Sagittarius new moon. It will also be where we have the Sagittarius full moon in June in 6 months when this lunation completes. New moons mark new beginnings and fresh starts due to the alignment of the sun, representing the collective spotlight of energy, our life path, our dharma, and the moon, representing our more private, intuitive, emotional selves. The conjunction formed by this alignment is a seeding moment representing the start of a new lunar cycle. New moons are therefore auspicious opportunities for self-reflection, presenting an alignment of energy that is ideal for setting intentions for the future. At this time of the month, and for the 3 days before and after the new moon, the moon is invisible from our Earth-based perspective. This is because the moon passes between the Earth and the Sun, and we are therefore unable to see it, as the moon is unable to reflect the light of the Sun from this position. Let's talk a little bit deeper about Sagittarius energy, the rulership of Sagittarius energy, and its symbolism. Sagittarius energy is ruled by the planet of expansion, Jupiter. Specifically, the first decan of Sagittarius, from 0 to 9 degrees of Sagittarius, is both ruled and sub-ruled by this planet of expansion, Jupiter. This energy will be familiar to anyone with their birthday between November 21st, if it's a leap year, November 22nd to December 1st. The key word for this decan of Sagittarius is honesty. The constellation Sagittarius is associated with is Ophiuchus, the serpent holder or the serpent bearer. Ophiuchus symbolizes victory over adversity. The symbol for Sagittarius is the arrow pointing toward the higher self or higher consciousness. Growth very much begins outside of your comfort zone. You are reminded that complacency and contentment are curse words to Sagittarius energy. In truth, the quest for higher consciousness is never over. May you continue to grow and challenge yourself on a daily basis to be just 1% better than the day before. Sagittarius is a sign associated with mental, physical, and spiritual expansion, higher learning, and experiential learning, learning by doing or experiencing, adventure, freedom, and exploring new horizons and opportunities, and the quest for truth. Sagittarius is the college professor, world traveler, philosopher, and adventurer of the zodiac. Therefore, the new moon in the sign of adventure and expansion begins a new chapter in our individual quest for inner truth and meaning, purpose, knowledge, and wisdom. Sagittarius is a positive, optimistic, and gregarious energy, reminding us that learning happens as we go. As a mutable fire sign, Sagittarius reminds us to constantly adapt, reshape our relationship with our inner selves as we evolve on our individual life journey. This new moon in the sign of the optimistic, wise centaur invites you to have more fun, explore, and to see life as an ongoing adventure. It is no coincidence that Sagittarius season coincides with Thanksgiving here in the USA. Acknowledge with gratitude the wisdom that emerges thanks to the experiences we have on our path. Throughout the next 6 months of this lunar cycle, and until the Sagittarius new moon completes under its corresponding full moon, also 20 degrees Sagittarius, on June 11th, 2025, we will be presented with opportunities to acknowledge how growth at times implies questioning our own thought and belief patterns as we gain insight and consciousness around how fixed or limiting thoughts and beliefs, victim consciousness, and scarcity mentality contribute to us falling out of alignment with our highest selves and our full potential. The next 6 months and past year have been themed around asking ourselves in what direction we aspire to grow, the ways in which we aspire to expand, and how our existing thought patterns, beliefs, and perspectives must change or adapt in order for us to do so. The Sagittarius new moon invites a renewal of our system of beliefs and offers us chances to recognize how our assumptions and worldviews contribute to holding us back from evolving and expanding. This is precisely what Mercury Retrograde through Sagittarius in mutual reception with Jupiter and Gemini, with Jupiter and Gemini as the ruling planet of this Sagittarius new moon, is all about. Mercury retrograde is a perfect time to reflect on your current communication and thought patterns as you explore new mindsets, beliefs, and perspectives, and restructure existing ways of believing, thinking, and perceiving your reality. Not only is Mercury retrograde debilitated and in mutual reception with Jupiter and Gemini, ruling the Sagittarius new moon, but both planets are facing off in a challenging opposition to one another. Jupiter in Gemini expands facts and information, bringing information overload, as corruption is exposed, and it will play out through the media, through journalism, and via social media. The USA has never felt more divided, except in the days leading up to and including the American Civil War. Themes that may resurface as we watch this bipartisan system crumble before our very eyes, and as Neptune prepares to return to Aries and Uranus to Gemini, both of which were present in the sky during the American Civil War. There are strong, deeply divided opinions. And as with any opposition, conflict ultimately leads to evolution, both personally and interpersonally. This Sagittarius new moon is conjunct a fixed point in the sky called the Great Attractor. It is located in the heart of Sagittarius, 14 degrees Sagittarius. This is a powerful placement, adding to the power and influence of this new moon. This new moon is also happening on fixed star Antares, which I don't want to get too deep into it, but Antares is located 9 degrees 46 arc minutes of Sagittarius. Antares is the heart of the Scorpion. It's considered a royal star associated with Archangel Oriel, the Watcher of the West. It carries a spirit of adventure, obstinacy or stubbornness, can involve injuries to the eyes, sudden loss, or great honor. It can be stubborn, suspicious, involve violence, and it has an orb of 2 degrees 40 arc minutes, so right on top of this new moon. The traditional name Antares is from ancient Greek, meaning anti-Aries. So this is Mars's rival, with Aries energy being ruled by the planet Mars. This is because it has a similar color, or at least what the Greeks perceived, to Mars. Similarly, the Babylonians from 1100 BCE referred to Antares as Gaba Gur Tab, the breast of the Scorpion. I really love it. Maybe that's my Sagittarius energy showing when I can find parallels from different cultures who saw and came to similar conclusions. In ancient Mesopotamia, similarly, it was Orbat Bilusha Ziri, the Lord of the Seed, Kak Shisha, I'm not sure if that's pronounced correctly, creator of prosperity, Dar Lugal, the king, Masusar, the hero and the king, and Kakab Bir, the vermilion star. In ancient Persia, Antares was known as Sativus, one of the 4 royal stars. The 4 royal stars are the 4 archangel stars. I have some notes here on when the sun is conjunct Antares, and if you have this placement, comment below. Let me know if this has been a theme in your life. Pretended religion, insincerity, great honor and riches that end in disgrace. So a fall from grace, as we are seeing with some people in the spotlight who are karma is coming to collect. It can also involve military preferment, danger of betrayal or treachery, violence either committed by the person with Antares conjunct Sun or being a victim of violence, suffering fever or sickness. It can involve injuries to the right eye and violent death. If it's rising or culminating, rising as it is in the chart of the United States of America, it can bring great honor attained through violence that also comes with difficulties and casualties. And if Mars is involved, it can bring infectious disease, an outbreak of infectious disease. We will have to see how this plays out. It's highly possible there could be more power grabs and fear-mongering using something like another pandemic, another viral or infectious disease outbreak, or it's been used time and time again, but war. We also have a loose mutable T-square formed between the new moon conjunct Mercury between 9 and 20 degrees Sagittarius, opposing Jupiter, 17 degrees Gemini, squaring off against Saturn, which is now direct 12 degrees Pisces. Saturn is a bit wide here, but it is directly square where the new moon loosely conjoins Mercury Retrograde, so we'll count it. Its recent stationing direct makes Saturn a key player. You could also consider this a grand mutable cross if you factor in dwarf planet Orcus, 17 degrees Virgo. The mythology of Orcus really highlights its symbolism. Orcus was the Roman and Etruscan god of the underworld, similar to Pluto and Hades in Roman and Greek mythology, known for punishing oath breakers. This is highlighting themes of truth and justice, as karma is here to collect from those who seek to misuse their money, power, status, and influence. The square between Jupiter and Saturn is long-term, lasting well into June 2025, due to Jupiter's current retrogradation. Where Jupiter is transiting in your chart, the sign and house, Jupiter is expanding, bringing more success, recognition, and abundance to this life area. For me, as a 12-degree Libra rising, this is creating an emphasis of energy in my 8th and 9th houses. My 8th house covers the territory from 9 degrees Taurus to 10 degrees Gemini. Saturn shows where it will conjoin my natal moon, 9 degrees Gemini, in my 8th house, and my natal Mars, 13 degrees Gemini, in my 9th house. Saturn, on the other hand, shows us where we need to put hard work and focus. Saturn is currently 12 degrees Pisces, nestled neatly into my 5th house of creative self-expression, but it will be in my 6th house of health, habits, routines, work, and domesticated pets the moment it reaches 17 degrees 3 arc minutes of Pisces. This Jupiter-Saturn square is a test to what was planted under the winter solstice of December 2020, when Jupiter and Saturn conjoined during the Great Conjunction. Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto all conjoined in Capricorn. Jupiter is about the future, while Saturn has to do with karmic retribution from past actions. Jupiter relates to optimism, while Saturn relates to pessimism and cynicism. The Sagittarius New Moon indicates that there will be a new chapter in this development, specifically relating to truth-seeking and justice against those who seek to misuse power and break oaths. Venus is coming into conjunction with Pluto 0 degrees Aquarius, exacting December 7th, the day after Mars stations retrograde 6 degrees Leo. Repressed energies can surface via explosive anger and resentment. Venus is currently 23 degrees in meticulous, frugal, money-conscious, albeit also materialistic and scarcity-mentally ridden Capricorn, in a trine to Uranus in Taurus, with Venus in Capricorn, Uranus in Taurus's ruling planet, while Uranus in Taurus influences Pluto in Aquarius. The world financial systems may experience a powerful shift or transformation, likely toward more digitized currencies, as more and more businesses opt to go cashless and refuse to accept things like the American dollar bill. Pluto conjunct Venus may also unearth hidden or repressed desires that transform our existing relationships as we know them. You can think of Pluto like a volcano. Long buried issues and resentments will come erupting to the surface for healing. Unspoken or repressed desires will demand our conscious attention. Pluto is still opposite Mars, and Venus and Mars will oppose one another, exacting on December 12th, 2024, creating a major tension point. Mars opposite Pluto is all about individual willpower clashing with state or top-down power. There may be conflicts with your boss or authority figure. This is contributing to the revolutionary energies behind Pluto in Aquarius. Mars retrograde in Leo will be all about aligning with inner authority and power, amplified by the trine to the North Node of Fate and Destiny in Aries, which is all about self-sovereignty. You are invited to step into your power. This creates a dichotomy between the divine masculine and the divine feminine, and it will amplify intensity in our existing connections. You may find yourself magnetically drawn to others, as Pluto conjunct Venus amplifies the likelihood of passionate encounters and makes us more drawn to deeper, meaningful connections. This can be felt 3 days before and after the exact alignment of Pluto and Venus on December 7th, 2024, so it will be felt all week and into the next major lunation, the full cold moon 23 degrees 52 arc minutes of Gemini on December 15th, 2024. The shadow expression of these transits can unearth jealousy, possessiveness, and control issues in our relationships and in our relationships with money. Stay mindful of your motivations and intentions and those of those closest to you. Lean into the art of compromise as you strive for balance and empowerment over control and manipulation. Ultimately, the Venus-Pluto conjunction is a powerful catalyst for personal growth and transformation. Collectively, we will all be confronting fears of loss, abandonment, rejection, and intimacy. This is ideal energy for aligning with purpose and inner power, as you shed outdated beliefs and patterns that no longer serve your best interest. You can also use these energies to catalyze deeply moving and transformative creative works of art and self-expression. You may feel more drawn to dark, taboo, or occult topics, allowing you to break free from the limiting safety net of what's conventionally accepted. You can also experiment with new forms and use subjects that defy the status quo in your creative work. Ultimately, you're encouraged to use creativity to transmute any uncomfortable emotions that arise. Mars, like we said, will station retrograde on December 6th, 2024, amplifying its themes and symbolism for the month of December. When a planet is retrograde, it is closest to the Earth in its orbit, which, much like a supermoon, amplifies its effects. Mars retrograde lasts from December 6th, 2024 until February 24th, 2025, with its shadow period extending all the way from late October 2024 to early May 2025. As the warrior archetype, Mars's themes will be amplified, and current global tensions will also be amplified, especially as Neptune and Saturn prepare to conjoin in Aries in 2025 and in 2026. Sometimes things have to get worse before they get better, so fear not. As an aside, on December 6th, we'll actually have a Mercury Cazimi with the Sun aligned with Mercury directly opposite Jupiter in the sky. You will see Jupiter at its brightest point of the year on this date.
There's some very exciting space news for you. On the night of December 6th through 7th, the Earth will pass between the Sun and Jupiter, which means the gas giant will be at its closest to Earth around these dates.
Also on December 7th, 2024, Neptune stations direct, adding to its importance in the month of December. Whenever a planet stations direct or retrograde, it amplifies its symbolism, so you can anticipate more flooding, issues with dangerous water, toxins in the water, attacks on waterways, attacks to the water supply, weaponization of water, such as dams collapsing. Not only in December, but as we proceed into January, February, and March 2025. Winter in the Northern Hemisphere this year could prove to be quite precipitous. Neptune will return to 28 degrees Pisces and then ultimately critical Antares 29 degrees Pisces, bringing a collective crisis of faith. Neptune in rulership in the late degrees of Pisces will conjoin an exalted Venus at this critical degree of Pisces and the north node of fate and destiny, which will be in the late degrees of Pisces by this time. And it will also be loosely conjunct Saturn in Pisces as Saturn prepares to close in on Neptune. Immediately following this beneficial conjunction between Neptune in the late degrees of Pisces in its sign of rulership with an exalted Venus in the late degrees of Pisces with the north node of fate and destiny, Neptune will ingress into Aries on the last day of March 2025. The exact conjunction of Neptune and the north node of fate and destiny will occur sometime around February 2nd and February 3rd. Both are very slow-moving placements, so this conjunction will last for weeks. This conjunction is already loose and operational, although it's out of sign, but it will get increasingly strong as we head into January and February 2025. Pisces is a mutable water sign that is all about merging souls and blending together, so this will amplify our overall sense of connection or oneness, and our connection to the divine, whatever we deem that to be. We will enjoy a collective shift toward greater empathy and compassion for others. Whenever the nodal axis shifts signs, it initiates an 18-month journey for the collective. So the current themes along the Libra-Aries axis of self-interest versus the interests of those closest to us, this relationship axis, will shift into the Pisces-Virgo axis of spiritual versus physical health and well-being. Let's explore the Sabian symbolism. If you have the Sabian symbols, a screen of prophecy at home, by Diana E. Roche, or Roche, 9 degrees 32 arc minutes of Sagittarius, rounds to 10 degrees Sagittarius. A golden-haired goddess of opportunity. Keyword, reward. Theme, looking beyond surface appearances. This symbol speaks to the rewards guaranteed to the individual who is independent, self-reliant, and willing to work hard for what they want. The image of a golden-haired goddess of opportunity alludes to the individual who follows their own dreams, create their own good fortune, and refuses to prejudge a situation or accept anything at face value. The emphasis in this symbol is on keeping an open and unconditioned mind. The individual who believes that bread can be made only from wheat might easily starve in a field of rye. Implicit in this symbol is the principle that every organism possesses the secret of its own survival, and that self-knowledge is the ultimate key to success. Positive, at its highest, the symbol represents self-confidence and an incredible sense of timing, or a knack for being in the right place at the right time. Negative, opportunism or wild goose chasing. Today, the accent is on being in the right place at the right time to catch the brass ring. Luck plays an important role today. Opportunity. Your greatest advantage lies in putting forth the effort to reap the benefits of the opportunities you are given. Be willing to continue in a course you know is right for you, even if you have to go it alone. So there's that note about contentment and complacency. Be willing to continue in a course you know is right for you, even if you have to go it alone. Guard against expecting others to carry you or cater to your whims. Don't lose your enthusiasm or abandon your goals just because you aren't continually receiving a pat on the back. Stepping stones, good fortune, luck, reward, subsidy, benefit, protection, prosperity, compensation, remuneration, restitution, and reimbursement. So for many of you, there will be rewards coming in. For others, karma is coming to collect. Remember that karma is neutral. It is neither good nor bad. It is simply a return of the energy that we put out. So if we have misused our power, our influence, our status, or our money, if we have manipulated others for selfish gain, well, karma is coming to collect, and it will likely be negative. For those of you who are light workers or who are doing the work of elevating the collective, bringing us into greater oneness, you can reap rewards. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for watching. If you're still with me, you're a real one. Drop your current most used emoji in the comments. If you took anything away from this video, we ask that you like, comment, share the content, and subscribe. If you enjoyed this video, we know that you'll enjoy the full playlist and this additional video. Thank you so much. Love you and see you soon.